Anthony de Mello wrote that most people are born asleep, live asleep, marry in their sleep, and die without ever waking up. He wrote that in the 1980s, well before the internet, before social media, before AI could generate a painting or write a business plan in 30 seconds. And if people were asleep then, we are in a collective coma now. You have about 12 months to take control of your mind before the world makes that choice for you. Because very soon, and we can see it happening in real life and in real time, AI will outproduce you, outwrite you, and outthink you in almost everything. But it still can't outbe you. And that's what this video is all about. It's not about productivity hacks or how to use AI and set up agentic workflows. I want to talk about the thing underneath all of it. The fact that most people don't actually know who they are beyond the labels they've collected through years of social conditioning. And AI is about to make that a very expensive problem. I'm Yolita, by the way. I have a psychology degree and I've been through depression, quite few internal turmoils, and the slow realization that the life I was building was someone else's blueprint. Today, I work with humans who feel the same misalignment, the gap between the life that looks right and the life that feels aligned at your core. And I'm starting this channel to talk about what it actually takes to close that gap. So I grew up in a small town in Bulgaria where success had a very specific shape, which is to go to university, get a stable job, climb the ladder, and never question the ladder itself. I think we're all way too familiar with that concept. And I was the first person in my family to actually go to university. So I took a £30,000 loan to study psychology in the UK. I worked full-time through the entire degree, graduated at the top of my class, got hired at a big recruiting company, independent, well-paid, could travel, and on paper I was exactly where I was supposed to be, and inside I was slowly disappearing. And the strange thing about living someone else's script is that you don't notice it at first. You think the emptiness is just stress or tiredness or something you fix when you finally hit the next milestone. But the milestones keep coming and the feeling doesn't change. That's because the problem was never about the milestones. It was about who I was becoming in the process of chasing them. And Maxwell Maltz wrote that in the 60s. He called it the self-image thermostat. So you can set up all the goals you want, but if your internal image of who you are hasn't shifted, you keep returning to the same emotional baseline. I was setting ambitious goals and hitting them, and every time I arrived, I felt exactly the same because the identity running the show hadn't changed at all. Maybe I should back up and explain a little bit. I've been very existential since I was a kid. I've always been interested about what's the meaning of life, or thinking about death, or what are the small chances that I exist in having this experience, or why I was born in the country I was born, why I had the family I had. And I was the kind of child who sat in the corner wondering why we exist while everyone else was doing normal kid stuff. And people told me that I was too serious, too depressing, so I learned to hide that part of myself. I decided that my curiosity was a flaw and performed normal for years. And by high school, the gap between who I was internally and who I was performing to be had gotten wide enough to fall into. I was depressed. I had thoughts about not wanting to be alive. I don't romanticize that period, but I'm not going to skip over it either because it's the part of why I do what I do now. And then 2020 happened and the world went quiet. And at first I did what everyone else did, binged Netflix, scrolled every app, called everyone I knew. But I eventually ran out of distractions and my mind was just fed up with the constant stream of noise, opinions, and empty stimulation. So one day I just decided to stop. No phone, no show, no playlist. I just sat on my single bed in my tiny uni dorm, away from everyone, my entire friends and family. I was completely by myself, staring out of a tiny window for hours, not doing anything, not trying to feel better, just being there. And I started meditating and really observing my thoughts and how I was thinking. And it wasn't a wellness trend because at that point, like meditation and self-help were like really skyrocketing in popularity, but it was literally my survival. And I started journaling every single day because I was eager to get to know myself better, as it kind of hit me that I didn't know who I was truly. I was just performing that character I've built over the years that became so comfortable it felt like my skin. And for the first time, I actually listened to what was going on inside of my head. And it was brutal. You're not good enough. You don't deserve this. You're a failure. I was saying things to myself that I would never say to another human being. I would never say out loud. And I've been doing it for so long, I didn't even notice. It was like a quiet background program that had been running for years, shaping everything. How I felt, how I acted, what I believe I deserved. And the weirdest part, there was a small piece of me watching it happen, separate from that voice, confused by it, and asking, where is this even coming from? Is this actually me? Why am I thinking these things about myself? And that question changed how I literally interact with life. It was such a pivotal moment that I ended up writing my entire dissertation on self-talk, trying to understand where that inner voice comes from and why we believe it. And the answer, as you might guess, is that most of it isn't yours. It's absorbed, it's childhood conditioning, culture, comparison, fear, trauma. I think we take in so much noise from the world that we genuinely forget which voice belongs to us. And I know that now because there is more awareness about these things, but I feel we're just still talking and absorbing rather than doing the actual work. I feel it's still very surface level, and we logically understand these concepts, but we're not embodying them, we're not feeling them, we're not actually doing the work. It's just like in the head. It's still just very much of a distraction and surface level work, and not actually, you're not embodying the work. It's the same with consuming all of these productivity books and self-development tools. It's just like mental masturbation at this point. We externalize our healing journey so much rather than simply being introspective, trusting our intuition, going within ourselves to seek for the answer and the wisdom that our body holds so we can actually heal. Anyways, I am digressing a little bit. So once I saw that pattern, I couldn't unsee it. And I realized something that sounds simple but took me literally years to actually live it. If you keep seeing yourself as the same person who created the life you're trying to escape, no new habit, no amount of productivity systems or discipline will save you. Because every action comes from the same identity. So that's why the 5 a.m. wake up is not gonna stick. That's why cold showers are not gonna last through winter. You have to become someone new, not by pretending, not by fake it till you make it, but by choosing differently at the level of thought and awareness, by paying attention to what's running in the background and ask whether it's actually true. But the scary part is that no one seems to be aware anymore, because everyone is just running on autopilot and is consumed by all that noise of constant information that we consume every single day. And actually, Joe Dispenza talks about this when he says you can't create a new future from the memory of the past, or if you're trying to be someone else. It sounds abstract until you try it and you realize how many of your daily choices are just old patterns on autopilot. So I committed to these things, journaling and meditating daily to clear the noise, to be connected with my truth, with my intuition. I studied mentalism, philosophy, and ancient teachings amongst my psychology degree to better understand how belief and perception shape reality. I was observing my internal world instead of constantly trying to fix the external world. And I think that's so important, because we just see reality as this abstract and disconnected things. We don't think that science and spirituality are linked, or the patterns of nature. And I just wanted to try to connect all of these dots, and I tried to connect the Western and the Eastern through like my psychology. So that's why I went really deep into spirituality and yoga and like trying to understand these ancient teachings and mythologies, and I tried to decipher the hidden meaning behind it, so I actually understood how is this applicable in the modern world. That last one was the real shift, because I stopped trying to change my circumstances and started changing the person who was creating those circumstances. And over the next few years, and I want to be honest here, that was very slow, very messy. It took me like from 2019 to now, I'm still a work in progress, to rebuild my relationship with myself from the ground up. And once that changed, the external world started changing too. Not magically, but because I was making different choices from a different place. I was aware, I was actually with intention designing my life. I wasn't just a victim of my circumstances anymore. So I felt this massive pull to leave everything behind. So I quit my job, left the UK, and went to Bali to study yoga. So when that happened, everyone thought I was losing it. My family basically staged an intervention. My dad even flew from Bulgaria to the UK to just talk to me because they thought that I'm going insane. And they were convinced that I was throwing away everything, my degree, my career, my future. And I remember thinking, am I going insane, or everyone else around me is asleep? I still don't have the answer to that question, but here I am recording that ramble. So studying yoga and diving into spirituality was an incredible chapter. I met some amazing people and teachers, felt grounded and aligned in a way that I've never had before. I was so focused on my internal world and the spirit and just seeing beyond the matter that it literally just transformed the way that I interact with reality itself. And naturally, the next step seemed obvious. Start creating content, share my journey to freedom, as I thought I was liberating myself from the system. Build an audience, all that jazz. Start a business, like, yeah, go on social media, post regularly, all that shenanigans. And yeah, because isn't what you do nowadays to be successful? So I moved into a community house full of content creators and digital nomads, as Bali is the hub for that. It was supposed to be the dream. I wanted to normalize that type of life. I wanted to learn from other people, and it was very interesting for me to dive into that world, and it felt like a dream for sure. But instead, it kind of became my next wake-up call, and I didn't expect that, if I'm being honest. Almost immediately, I started feeling resistance again. I couldn't be consistent. I cringed at everything that I was recording. I didn't want to post. It felt that I was performing again, just with better weather and a ring light. And I looked around me and I observed the other creators, and I saw similar cycle everywhere. People creating for validation, measuring their worth in likes, selling freedom while being changed to an algorithm, and a constant grind and anxiety of whether or not they're gonna make money or they're gonna land a brand collaboration. So they were more or less building another 9 to 5 just with their own branding on it. And what's staggering is that 52% of creators experience creative burnout. 58% say their self-worth declines when content underperforms. And these aren't lazy people. These are talented, driven humans who built the thing they were told to build and still feel empty. And the advice that they're getting: niche down, optimize your hooks, batch content, bring AI, become more efficient, model what's working, and everything makes it worse, because all of that optimization is just for the market's preferences, not for the creator's truth. And if that sounds familiar, it should, because that's the same trap as the corporate ladder, just dressed up differently. Now, this is where I want to slow down, because this is the part that matters beyond my story and what I've been talking about. I started seeing a clear split between two ways of being online. One I'd call a content creator, the other is a conscious creator. And the difference between them will determine who thrives along AI and who gets swallowed by it. A content creator asks, what will get engagement? A conscious creator asks, what truth wants to be expressed through me? The output might sometimes look the same, the internal experience is completely different. and so is the sustainability. When you create from obligation, performance, or borrowed strategies, you drain yourself. Your nervous system runs on stress even if you're technically free and living the life. You're building what I called an ego business, something designed from the outside in, shaped by what the market wants rather than what you actually have to offer. It can be profitable for sure, it often is, but it requires constant performance because the whole thing is built on a version of you that was designed for an audience rather than expressed from who you truly are at your core, on a soul level. A soul-led business starts from the opposite direction. It asks, how am I here to serve? What is my purpose? What have I actually lived through that I can now guide others through? How can I help others heal and wake up? It doesn't reject strategy, but it grounds strategy in something real. And here's why this matters now more than ever. AI can replicate the content creator, it can write hooks, generate captions, produce video scripts that follow every formula perfectly, but what AI cannot replicate is a perspective forged through real experience, a nervous system that has actually moved through the things it teaches about, a human being who is weird and specific and alive in a way that no model can simulate. In Buddhist and Hindu philosophy, there's a concept called Maya, which is the illusion. The idea that most people live their entire lives inside a kind of a dream, believing the performance is real, confusing the masks for the face. The entire content creation industry runs on Maya. Perform success, attract attention, get sponsorships and brand deals, sell through affiliates, convert followers, and repeat. And AI is about to outperform everyone still playing that game. And the people who won't be replaced are the ones who stopped performing and started expressing, are the people who are actually aligned with what it means to be human and following their human nature, the ones who did the inner work, faced the void, came out of the other side knowing who they are, without the matrix, without the likes, without the algorithm's approval. Those people will be the signal in that noise. And signals don't get replaced by machines, they get amplified. So let me leave you with something practical, because I know philosophy without application is just decoration. If you watch this and something resonated, if you recognize yourself in any part of this ramble, try this for the next 7 days or so. Every morning, before you open any app, before you check your notifications, before you look at your to-do list, sit with a blank page for 10 minutes and write down whatever your mind is saying. Don't filter it, don't try to be positive, don't try to answer a prompt, don't try to be grateful, just transcribe the background noise. And after a few days, you will start to notice patterns, because you do need to revisit your journal entry logs. Recurring fears, recurring criticisms, maybe some limiting beliefs about who you are and what you deserve and why you haven't achieved the life that you're dreaming of. And then start to question where did the thoughts come from. Go a layer deeper and ask yourself, why are you thinking or feeling this way? And then repeat that process as you strip the layers one by one. It's not gonna be fast. It's not gonna be just for 7 days. It's gonna be every single day for the rest of your life, because this is what it means to operate from awareness instead of just an autopilot. And the aim is to see the unconscious programming. And the moment you truly see it and become aware of it, you can start choosing differently. Not by fighting the thoughts, but by recognizing that you are the awareness watching them, not the thoughts themselves. And that awareness is what actually makes you human. That's the thing AI doesn't have. And it's the foundation of everything I'm gonna talk about on this channel. That's why I'm starting with being human. Not to add more noise, there's enough of that already, but to create a space for real conversations that actually matter. What it means to be human, what is your purpose, where we're going collectively with all that AI and global warming and just life in general, how to build something real in a world that rewards performance and is becoming more and more synthetic by the day, how to connect truly with other human beings. I'll be talking about burnout, identity, purpose, conscious business building, and what happens when AI forces us to answer these existential questions we've been avoiding for way too long. And if any of this sounds like you're kind of weird, subscribe. I'm so excited to connect with you. I also do write a newsletter called The Conscious Drop on Substack, where I go deeper into these ideas. The link is going to be in the description. In my next video, I'm going to actually break down the difference between an ego business and a soul-led business, and why one makes you miserable no matter how much money it makes, and how to know which one you're building. So I hope to see you there.